Welcome to Celebrate a Sister podcast.
So welcome, Claudia Neal Shaw, to our 50 Inspirational Women, this beautiful little podcast series that I have come up with. And as we just chatted, we're fortunate enough to be surrounded by all these beautiful women that are in a coaching program with us. And just the women that we work with, we're so blessed to be with all these gorgeous women. So you are one of them, darling. So I want to ask you, tell me about yourself and how you help women.
Thank you, Emma, so much for having me. And this is such a beautiful opportunity for us to connect and you to connect with so many other amazing people that we know. So thank you. My name is Claudia. I run a business specifically supporting female entrepreneurs and female leaders. And I teach them to market with confidence and to build a really powerful personal brand. My background is in law and comms, ex-lawyer, ex-corporate comms girl. And when I started my first business, it was a very traditional marketing consulting business. And what I found is naturally women were my clients, really powerful, smart, intuitive women who came from that background of corporate, went out on their own and had no idea how to market themselves. So it's been a really incredible journey over the last 4 years in supporting them to bring their business dreams to life.
And so needed. Like I'll often say, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but I say we really need to work harder on ourselves than we do our business. And that's that whole thing, like you say, working with women who are smart, intelligent, intuitive, have all of that. And exactly, I love your signature on your email, confidence creator and opportunity maker. I just love that because that's almost like we, as a woman, we have an idea for a business. We're quite clear, we're smart, we know what we might want. But then, and this is speaking from my own experience, then comes the piece where you actually have to show up and be visible and market and bring it to the world. Yes. That's a whole nother game, I feel like, or a whole nother skill set I found. So what would you say, most of the women that you work with, what would you say is the missing piece for them?
I think what we forget is we are never taught to market unless we specifically study marketing. We're really never given the tools, the skill set, the education to say, how do you tell a story that connects with a very specific kind of person or audience that compels them to then engage with you, buy from you, have a long-term relationship, both personal and commercial. And I think, Emma, very interestingly, we all have a very unique skill set. It doesn't matter what it is. You can be a hairdresser, a hypnotherapist, you can be a personal trainer. And it doesn't really matter how good you are at that thing if people do not know about you. And so I think the missing piece often I see with women who are either starting new businesses or they've been in business for some time and they're at a bit of a crossroads. They're saying, I don't know that I like doing business in the way that I've been, executing it for the last X amount of time. I want a new version of that with, a more refined ideal client, a more refined offering. And what I see is that so many women will assume that people know exactly what they do and exactly how they change their ideal client's life. Because what we'll often do is we will start a business or we'll have a certain message that we're sharing and we'll share that message with our friends face to face. We'll share it on socials. We'll put ourselves out there and then we'll say, I've been sharing my message and nobody's listening. I'm not getting any business. Mm-hmm. And what you'll often find is that you've actually only shared your message a few times. Repeating that message over and over is not a surefire way to, make your clients get sick of it. They don't, or they're your ideal clients to get sick of it. You might get a little bit sick of it sometimes because you're like, I feel like I'm saying the same thing, but the amount of touch points it now requires for your ideal client to engage with you, the more you repeat your message, the further top of mind you are for people. And they go, Emma is the girl for the job. He's the one that's going to change my life.
Yeah, it is, because studies have shown that around marketing too. Remember years ago, I remember hearing a study saying that it was like 7 times I had to see you. And then I think it went to like 21 times. I mean, goodness knows what it is now.
Yeah, I think it's moved a little bit, like, and I think particularly during, COVID, and people were really transforming and changing the way that they were doing business. It was mostly online. So we were trying to cut through a space that was becoming more and more saturated, and people were acting very quickly. It wasn't so much we've got all this time to put out content, bring an offer to market. People were saying, how does my business survive? And let's throw something at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. Things have definitely shifted and changed, haven't they? Without a doubt.
Big time.
So what inspired you to start your business? What was your inspiration?
I think I've always had a desire to run a business. Both my parents have been and are business owners. They were always very resourceful, I think, in the way that they lived their lives, chose their careers. And that really instilled this sense of, you can start anything. You can wake up one day and say, I can create an opportunity for myself. I can start a project. I can make a connection. So I do feel like that was the attitude was really fostered in me quite early. But I started my first business when I was still studying at uni. I was 21. I registered my first Australian business number, and I started freelancing, doing bits and pieces of marketing for small businesses. And the freedom and the opportunity to make your own money in your own time. You could choose who you wanted to work with. You could choose what you wanted to create. And there was something in that was very intriguing to me, even though I followed, a bit of a conventional pathway as well. I found that over time, the thing that was really going to give me that joy, fulfillment, curiosity, and longevity was running my own show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm from business parents as well, parents who've had their own businesses. And I get that curiosity and that, I don't know, making your own rules and that freedom. But it does come with its challenges. What would you say has been your biggest challenge about being a business owner and creating your own path?
There is such a spectrum of what freedom means to people in business. And so it's often a really common answer. Why did you get into business? For the freedom, time freedom, money freedom, lifestyle freedom, energy freedom. And what I have probably found the most challenging over the years is figuring out where I play on that spectrum of freedom. What does it actually mean to me? And there are some times where I dance on the very relaxed end of like, I can run my business from anywhere. I can work whatever hours I want. I can make all the money in the world, which of course there is truth to that. But what I have found is moderating my own desire for freedom, but then also bringing some more formalized structure into that so that it actually gets me where I want to go. Being able to, take time off whenever I want to, being able to create offerings that I genuinely want to deliver. And so I think it's actually been the brain games, the mindset piece of saying, you know what, there's no straight line in business. It's a roller coaster, it's a wave, and you choose to ride it or not. Mm. And just being very committed to the fact that it's never going to look or feel the same. You've really got to embrace the fact that there are seasons of business. And anytime I wake up and I say, I don't want to do this anymore, I can go and do something else. But I haven't had that yet, which I think is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it. Defining what freedom means to you and the full spectrum. And yeah, I think I often say, the businesses that I've had and what I do now is it feels like sometimes, and I don't know if you agree with this, the highs are highs, but the lows can be low. Like,
yeah. And they're intense, right? Because your business is so personal to you. It's very different from being employed or being part of something that is owned by someone else. When you run your own business, you are the initiator, the creator, the salesperson, the marketer, the accountant. You wear so many hats and you have so much on the line.
Yeah.
But when things don't go as planned, sometimes it can feel like, what, was it worth it? And then other times you're thinking, could I have experienced the depth of joy and satisfaction in bringing this to life in a different setting? And I haven't experienced the same in a different setting. So it's worth it. But I think it's just being cognizant of the fact of like, how do you take care of yourself along that very rocky roller coaster journey?
Yeah, that's the bit. It is that, and you've said it before, it's the mind game of it, because yes, it's so worth it when something pulls off in business, because like you say, it's so personal and you are everything and you wear every hat. So the highs are extremely joyful, but the lows, you can really feel like some days, what the heck am I doing? I totally get that. And I guess it is that mindset game. So from your perspective, how do you play the mindset part of being a businesswoman and leading other women?
Yeah, I think there's something that I teach, which is all about what does the most confident version of myself look like and what does the least confident version of myself look like. And I use this framework because the most confident version of myself is the girl who is showing up every single day. She's energetic. She loves the shit out of her business. She's got great energy. She's doing all of the things that allow her to be that. So it's, spending time in the sunshine, exercising and being out in nature, putting myself in rooms with other inspirational women, making sure that the clients that I'm working with make me feel awesome and vice versa. There's this beautiful energy exchange, which I know, Emma, you speak about a lot. And then I look at what happens if I feel like the least confident version of myself. And on those days, I'm probably drinking 68 coffees, I'm doom scrolling, I'm in my inbox, I'm doing all of the things that my body and mind is falling back on because I'm depleted, I'm overtired, I'm overwhelmed. And so I think it's about prioritizing the activities and the things that keep my mind really, or my cup very filled up, and having a very clear set of priorities so that they're built into my calendar. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I think that is having that ideal version of yourself, because there is no boss, there is no team leader, there is no someone saying to you, hey, have you taken a break? You're looking a little overwhelmed, or have you actually drank water or had lunch or taken a break? Because that no one is monitoring that but yourself. So I guess unless you've kind of put out your ideal, your day, or the best version of yourself, how do you know what that even is? And that's the mind game.
It is the mind game. And I think also really deciding on a set of values and principles for you to hold yourself accountable to. And there's two things in particular that I, really kind of lean on a lot of the time. And it's that every single day I wake up and I'm going to give something a crack. It might be sending an email to a prospective client. It might be planning an entirely new launch or a new event or a global conference. It doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm going to get up every day and go, give it a crack, doll. Just try. Just do something that's going to move you closer towards where you want to go. And the second thing is really being able to give myself my own reality check and saying, if you are feeling a certain way, whether it's feeling joyful, energetic, on top of the world, or it's feeling low, down in the dumps, lethargic, I am the only person who is capable and responsible for meeting whatever needs to be met in that moment.
Yeah.
If I am having one of those low days where I'm like, the thing that I worked on failed, it's rainy and cold outside and it's making me feel terrible, I don't want to do this anymore. The only person who really suffers here is me. So I can either choose to kind of sit in it for a bit, and sometimes I do, or I can say, what has to happen to either prevent this from happening again or to treat it? And a lot of the time it's giving yourself the space, the grace, and almost like the diffusion point. What's going to diffuse this little black cloud or this thing that is bringing you down? And you just get better and better at it, I think, the more it happens.
I think that's right. You do get back. It is like a muscle, like being able to come back and have that self-inquiry and that reflection. And as a business owner, if you don't build that muscle, you don't survive, I believe.
You can't survive.
No, you go down the rabbit hole and you don't come out.
No, and sometimes you can come out feeling really jaded or resentful of something that you have built, and that can be like incredibly confronting, I think, because business is so personal.
Yeah.
And so it's about working out, who do you need, what do you need in your space that allows you to keep being curious about what's going on inside. Whether it's someone like you, Emma, someone who's a really beautiful guide and support and wing woman that encourages people to do that, or whether it's, you know, something else that we might need. Maybe it's a little bit of extra help at home. Maybe it's, you know, a weekly check-in with a girlfriend that's really going to kind of top up that energy. Whatever you need in order to boost yourself up, that's what you have to prioritize before anything else.
Yeah, I agree, without a doubt. Because again, you know, like I said at the start of our conversation, you know, your business is only as good as you. And if you can't, you know, put that time and reflect and self-manage, and like you even say, a good point about them being resentful of what you've created, or resentful, because then that feeling of it's taken more than it's given. When ideally we want it to have a equal energy exchange. You also said that, and that whole giving and receiving, because you're in a relationship with your business. You're actually in a relationship.
You are in a relationship, but I think what the difference is that you are the person holding the reins. You are the person who can make a change if something is not working for you. And I think sometimes we can get in this little spiral, whether it's a launch not going to plan, whether it's a revenue goal we haven't met, and we treat it personally and we blame personally. It was me who didn't bring this to life. It was me who didn't make enough phone calls.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can play in that space if we want to. It's pretty tiring and draining. Or we can say, what has to change? Because if this is not resonating with me anymore, if I am feeling resentful of it, I can make a choice to change it to something that suits me. And I think we forget that sometimes. It is ours.
Yeah, yes, without a doubt. And I think, you know, the benefit that both you and I have is we've got women like each other that hold space, and the group that we're part of, I think for me has got me through a lot of those moments. I have got a whole community of women that I can lean into, the mastermind that we're a part of, that is just, yeah, because sometimes someone needs to help reflect that back to you, exactly that, like saying, hang on a minute, you know, it's not a blame game here. What do you need to course correct? Or like you said at the start of our conversation, you know, we have this, well, speaking for myself, I'm going to put an offer out there a couple of times, and then no one's seen it apart from, you know, close friends or whatever, and then go, it didn't work. But actually it's because it's not a simple one-time thing. It takes a bit of resilience and going back again and again.
And being objective in something that is so personal. I think that's actually probably one of the biggest things many business owners struggle with. It is hard to be objective about your own business.
Yeah.
And that is why you surround yourself with other amazing women who are like, hey, have you thought about X, Y, Z? They're seeing it with fresh eyes. They're not as emotional and attached as you. And so they're actually able to give you insights in a really beautiful and constructive way that allows you to receive them. Whereas if you're trying to do it yourself and say, let's be objective about the fact that only 2 people visited my sales page. Well, only 2 people visited because I didn't do this and I didn't do that. Instead of saying, let's like work it back together and say, how could we drive some more traffic to that sales page?
Yeah. And that's the bit we've got to pull up when we start going down, that inner critic that can be really loud sometimes and not constructive. Love it.
Exactly.
So, Claudia, what would you say, looking back on your business journey, what would you say you're most proud of?
Oh, I think the first thing was being brave enough to leave a pretty conventional pathway to a lot of criticism and questioning. I was ex-lawyer, ex-corporate comms. People said, God, it must be such a waste that you're now going to do something else. I think when you receive that kind of feedback pretty early on, you make a choice to say, I'm either going to take it on and, let it affect what I do, or I'm going to hear it. I'm going to recognize that this person is potentially trying to support me in some way. And then I'm going to keep doing what I set out to do. So I think it's, again, being brave enough to have a crack. And that's what I now teach to other women is how can you be brave enough to put yourself out there? So if I look at the me 4 years ago saying I'm going full-time into this business versus where I am now, I'm immensely proud of the community that I've built, the programs and education that I've created, the purpose that I have found within myself to make information and education more accessible to women all over the world so that we can talk about things like how we make money, how we build businesses, how we create lives that we genuinely feel connected to. So I'm proud of the bravery then, I'm proud of the bravery now, and I'm proud of the women that execute that bravery every day.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that because it is bravery, and I love that. Just having a crack.
Crack. What's the worst that can happen?
Good question. What is the worst that could happen?
Someone can say no, or something doesn't go to plan. And I've just found that it's just that wonderful, belief that you can have, which is like, it's cyclical. Just give it a go and keep doing it, because you've really got nothing to lose a lot of the time.
No. And, I always think, what we have got to gain is connecting with other women on that path and on that journey, because it does take, a lot of courage to, like you say, leave a conventional, career that, and let's be honest, I mean, to do a law degree is no mean feat. So, and then to, go into a career of law, I mean, everyone will be going, are you kidding me? That is like, for a lot of people, that is like their absolute end all be all goal. But there's more, isn't there? If it's in your heart, there's more.
There's always more. And, I think in that scenario, it was a really great test for me to say, what these people are indicating to me is that they think that something like law or this conventional pathway is valuable. It has things attached to it, impressions attached to it. And so I need to go into this space and be really confident in the value that I'm creating here. And, in turn, support women to identify their own value that they're creating in their businesses. And so many women, myself included, have struggled with articulating their true, undeniable value because they're caught up in a lot of the other shit.
Yeah.
And once you unlock that and you really get to the gooey middle of what makes someone tick, what gets them, excited, waking up in the morning, and what they're here on this earth to deliver, you can't stop them. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that, because that's the truth. Yeah. Once you unlock that and let them really settle into what they're here to do without the label, That's because you don't need to label it, do you? Like you say, you're a lawyer, whatever we want to call it. But yeah,
you can be whatever you want to be, but in the end, it matters so much less about the label and more about what it is you're really doing and how you're feeling every single day. Because if I was still in, a conventional pathway today, I certainly wouldn't be as happy, healthy, excited to be doing life.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Well, thank you, Claudia. Thanks so much. Now, I do want to quickly ask, where can people find you, even though it will be in the show notes, but where can we find you?
Best place to come and hang out with me is on Instagram. I'm hilarious and I'm a no bullshit gal. So I like to share a lot of my business, my life on there. And I'd love to connect with any incredible female entrepreneurs and female leaders who want to be part of that community. Otherwise, people can check out my website at candorconsulting.com, which gives you a little bit more about what I do supporting women.
Beautiful. Thank you, Claudia. And that will be in the show notes. But thanks so much for your time today. It has been wonderful to chat.
Thank you, Emma. So appreciate it.